Hello there, you bumperclarts. How are we all? I hope everyone's well and that. Sorry, my microphone's quite far away. Hello, everyone. How are we all? I'm very well. I thank you for asking. Yes, lots of stuff, things to do. Funded by Russia gang rise up. True. Anyway, yes, that is Baby Kev. That is me circa 2006 or possibly 7 at the Student Union bar. Not my scarf, to be fair, not my scarf, but everything else is me. That scarf belonged to a South African Greek Jewish girl who I was fucking at the time. Or was I fucking her at this time or later? Maybe. I can't remember. Anyway. So yes, I mean, when that picture was taken, there were people not yet born who are probably, yeah, it's about 18 years ago, so they're adults now. Imagine that. Imagine that, everybody. If you want to. You don't have to, of course. That was you, Kevin. Jesus, what did you do to yourself? I got fat and old. I got very fat and very old. I was a hottie, absolutely. As I think I've said before, I would come all over that young man's face. I mean, he probably wouldn't be into it. That's a point. Okay. Time travel scenario. What are the legalities of fucking yourself? Does it count as incest? It's self-cest, sure, but you are your own closest relative, surely. And also, like, what's the consent issue there? Because both of them are me, right? So I don't know how that works. Practically speaking, I don't know how that works. It's like dual masturbation. Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how would you sue yourself? How would you take yourself to court for the supposed crime involved here? It doesn't make any sense at all. I found a loophole. I found a loophole here, people. Don't worry, mate, I got fat and old too. Hey, fat and old club. I'm certainly far more confident and contented than that young man. That young man was he was a hot mess. Hot being the thing. Anyway, I thought I'd do a contrast. Look at what I used to be and look at what I am now. What a glow down? Is a glow down a thing? I feel like this is a glow down. How would you find your younger self? Oh, just go to the shittiest bar in town. I'll be there. Or do you mean how would I like my former self? In which case, no, I probably wouldn't. Although I suspect the feeling might be mutual. I don't know. But today Kevin could drink that whole bar out of stock. To be fair, Kev then could as well. And he didn't get massive Well, I don't really get hangovers that bad. But I used to remember thinking, oh, this is a terrible hangover. And now that's like the best hangover I could possibly imagine. It was like a slight, like, you felt a little bit tired. Anyway, what the fuck am I doing? Right, we've got content to fucking get on with, Kev. Right. You can give me money in the usual ways, you understand. Google Meet, that's what we need. Yes, so you can do bits messages, you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, all of that shite. If you're on YouTube, hello YouTube, you can do you can do bits messages here. You can you can do super chats on YouTube and become a member on YouTube, I think. Hasan also interviewed that Jimmy the Giant lad. What? Jimmy the Giant lad? What on earth are you talking about? I know he's going to be interviewing Jeremy Corbyn at some point, but I don't know who's Jimmy the Giant. Is that a meme I'm not aware of? You don't understand, Your Honour. I had no choice. 10 years ago, I got called out for making an insensitive Twitter joke. 255, that is not relevant to anything, I don't think, is it? Get to high ground if you're in California. Tsunami warning. Oh, shit. Well, yeah, hopefully everyone in California is cool. Oh. Jimmy the Giant is a UK YouTuber. Oh, okay. Let's have a look. Hang on, no, let's do this fucking thing first, you prick. Right. Anyway, yeah, Hasan was in town. I say in town, in the UK. He was in Cambridge and London, maybe. Which, you know, is a thing. It's a thing that both places I am familiar with. For rather different reasons. A nice British lad did a Why I Left the Anti-Woke video. Hasan watched it and then they had a chat on stream. Oh, okay. Cool. Marjorie Taylor Greene, are you there?
I am there. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm exceptionally well. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad.
Good. I saw you a little bit earlier on the doing your regular work on
I was indeed.
Navarra. It was very good.
I wasn't. Yeah, I did. We looked at the amnesty report onto the Gaza genocide.
Yes. Well, I mean, we were literally just talking about Hassan Piker being in Cambridge, and of course it was Trinity College, Cambridge, which has literally been indicted by the amnesty report, I believe, or was it the ICJ report? I forget. As what do you call it? Funding the genocide. They are complicit. They were named
Not surprised.
specifically, which is pretty incredible.
British institution embroiled in something not very good.
Can you believe that? A college established by Henry VIII isn't the paragon of moral virtue that you might imagine. Good Lord.
Shocking.
I mean, to be fair, he only killed 2 of his wives, whereas Israel has killed tens of thousands of wives. So, you know, just saying.
Rookie numbers.
Exactly. That's the thing with Henry VIII. You need to get those numbers up. What the fuck am I talking about? Can we get some lols in chat for Henry VIII being dead? I think we found out who I'm fingering, if that happens now. Henry
The
VIII.
United Healthcare CEO.
Oh, well, he's got several holes. It's like fucking whack-a-mole, that one. Yeah. I have watched. It's been so fun watching the Liberals like, why are you laughing at him dying? Can't he just go about his business of making cancer patients die in agony without healthcare, without you being mean to him?
He had a family. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck those cunts too. Why, if you're married to this piece of shit, you're also a piece of shit. Fuck you. I don't care.
The best response is always, I will show him the courtesy in death that he showed to others in life. And that means that people can only ever take you at your word.
Yeah. Also, look, being a healthcare CEO is a pre-existing condition. And therefore, actually, I don't think my decency covers his particular policy on this one. So
yeah, thoughts and prayers is not included in your
rejected, denied. I'm sorry, mate. You are uninsured by basic human decency. My bad. Anyway, yeah, rip bozo, pack watch, etc. Fuck that dude.
Rest in peace.
Also, quite funny that the guy etched the words "denied" or whatever it was onto the bullet casings.
So he etched
so the police would find that shit. I mean, if you're gonna look, I'm not saying you should ever do any of these things, obviously, because they're criminal and terms of service. But if you were to engage in a politically contentious issue like this, definitely do it in a trolly way. Definitely add extra trolling, insult to the injury, so to speak. Lovely.
People have found a theory as to why he wrote the things that he did. So he wrote, what was it? It was deny, defend, depose, which comes from a book called Defend, Deny, Delay, Deny, Defend, which is a book all about how insurance companies avoid making payouts.
Yeah.
So he's
I,
taken that and put his own
yeah.
spin on it, which I think is quite...
I'm
Again, Chad move, Chad move.
Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised that we don't see more of this. In all honesty, like as a person, a lover of history and especially of sort of political history, I guess I'm very familiar with the dynamiteurs, as they were referred to, the dynamiters, the essentially terrorists. I think we probably call them now, anarchists who believed in this thing called the propaganda by the deed, which was the idea that you inspired and radicalized people by like killing the bourgeoisie. So you like one of the presidents of the United States was killed by an anarchist. There were, I think, a couple of French prime ministers were killed back when the prime minister was the big deal and the president was like a sideshow. And various other things, various bars had like fucking bombs planted in them and stuff. And whilst it wasn't an effective strategy, I can understand it in the sense that if you come from like dirt poverty, crazy dirt poverty, and you live within walking distance of like people clinking champagne glasses, I can understand that. Let's say getting your heckles up a little. Ravachol, a very fine name you mentioned there, Lord Fruitus. Ravachol was the name of famous dynamiteur, and they literally wrote was it the Ravachol polka? Was a hit song in France.
There you go.
Written about a terrorist. There you go. What different times they were at the turn of not the turn of the century we lived through, the previous one. Anyway, so and we're getting back to those levels of like robber baron-esque horrificness, where people are living in like fucking shacks, or even if you want to live in like a fucking shoebox in a city, it costs you half of your fucking monthly wage. It's ridiculous. And yet we've got people with, I mean, opulent wealth beyond even the robber barons. Fucking Rockefeller never dreamed of the kind of wealth that Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos has. So I'm surprised this sort of thing doesn't happen more often. I would be surprised if it doesn't continue to happen, to be honest.
I agree. I would not be surprised if we would continue the way that we have seen. Reminds me, there was actually an article written by like a multimillionaire saying we need to redistribute the wealth, or people will come to us with pitchforks. It's in our interest to have our wealth redistributed.
Yeah, well,
otherwise, we might get choppied.
Yeah, well, was it Warren Buffett? I think described paying his taxes as what was it? As guillotine insurance. Which is fair enough. I think that's at least he understands the situation. Yeah, that's fair. Anyway. One of the Italian kings was also killed by an anarchist. We're getting lots of let's just say historical precedent for the point I was making in chat. Nobody is celebrating this though, Twitch. Please do not ban me. We're simply mentioning historical echoes of the situation.
Destiny viewers.
Yes, indeed. Go fuck yourself, Destiny.
But the thing is, what Gary Stevenson always says is that basically for the entirety of human existence, post civilization, right? So after primitive communism, ever since the emergence of human civilization, all society has been a few people with everything and the vast majority of people with nothing. Every single society in history, that's basically been the case, apart from for a very, very short period between 1945 and 1979.
I guess so. I mean, we can go back to, I think probably agriculture leads to the kind of hierarchy we see. It's definitely like you say, primitive communism. After that, once you're able to store things, you're able to like accrue power by having access to that, and therefore doling out privilege to people you like and don't like, or who will act in ways that you agree with. And from that, you get a class of administrators and bureaucrats that evolve, and hierarchies build themselves up. Yeah. Whereas if you're literally having to hunt from deer to deer, or from mammoth to mammoth, like it's everyone's fucking equal because you either eat or you don't fucking eat.
Exactly. Like it's the creation of the surplus and the first grain silos was essentially the creation of the economy we know today.
Pretty much. And then capitalism came in and went, how about we do that, but worse? How about we make that situation even less equal than it's ever been before?
Well, I mean, there was definitely more equality under capitalism than under feudalism, and certainly than under mercantilism. But
there's a possibility for social mobility, but not equality. I think
I guess.
Like I
guess
say,
the thing is-
Rockefeller's the upper cap on wealth in the past was embarrassingly low compared to where it is now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's just that I think the interesting thing is that as Marx points out, right, capitalism was a means to an end. It was the what's the fucking term that it's called?
The
There's
stepping
literally a
stone.
book called it. It's a very specific term that I've already forgotten, so I'm not going to talk about it. But
The transitionary phase.
I mean, we'll just go through. It's a transitionary phase, but essentially it is necessary. The theory of productive forces, that's the one, to build up a nation's productive forces to be able to be redistributed later.
Back before heads of state had personal guards, why weren't there more assassinations? Like, why didn't anyone in 1926 think, oh, I can just walk up to Stanley Baldwin and shoot him? I don't know, 255. I suppose the knowledge of your certain execution for doing that might have something to
obviously,
do with it.
we'd have that was after the Peel reforms, right? The Peel reforms is what kind of created the modern society as we know it.
Although, interestingly, the one British Prime Minister that did get done in, Spencer Perceval, his assassin was the most sort of British, sort of stiff upper lip response to it ever. He went up and shot him, and then went and sat back down in the lobby of the Houses of Parliament, and he went and just sat back down and awaited to be arrested. And then at his trial, he refused to defend himself. He said, "No, I did kill him, and I do deserve to be hung for this." Like he just went, look, but
worth it.
He thought that the government owed him money or something, and he was like, the only way I could get any kind of fight back against it or any kind of justice out of this was to kill the Prime Minister. So he did, and he went, but having killed him, I do now myself deserve to be executed, which is like some crazy old school honour shit, man. You wouldn't get that now.
No, you wouldn't get that from me, definitely not.
No, like as soon as you did it, you'd be like, oh fuck, and you'd run away. Obviously, it's like the natural response. But he went, no, just going to go and sit down and wait.
Very funny, very, very funny.
Anyway.
And by the way, people in chat are asking why my camera's off. I'm currently eating a very large bowl of chips that I ordered at 4, turned up at 5 minutes to 6 before I was going to start Novara. So I had to put them in the air fryer, heat them up, and then eat them now. 3 hours after they've been cooked.
That is fucking grim. Are they as nasty as they sound?
They're fine. Once you put them in the air fryer, it's just like eating oven chips.
Okay. Well, I will leave you to your devices on that.
I ate my chicken wings in between segments on Novara.
I love how you kind of just sort of get used to stuff, don't you? Like, I remember the first ever live stream I did, I was so nervous that I had the computer loaded up and everything set up 2 hours before it started. Whereas now, I'm like, it's 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Shall I get the OBS open?
Shame.
You know, like, whereas, like, I imagine the first time you did that show, you probably were not in the mood to eat chicken wings between segments, I would imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you get used to stuff. Okay,
yeah, literally.
So did we want to watch any of the Hasan thing in London or not, or in Cambridge, I should say, or not, or do we want to go straight to the Keir Starmer thing, or? Should
we watch some Hasan's Q&A, or the bit where didn't you get like somebody like a Destiny viewer come up to him after the stream or some shit?
I don't know about that. Does anyone have a link to that bit? I've got the clip of someone asking him about his house. Oh, you're a Champagne Socialist house. Oh, Hasan.
That sounds very funny to me.
Yeah, and I think the guy's German as well, which is extra weird.
I'm definitely down for that.
Also, oh god, I bookmarked it for no real reason other than the fact that to show you how dangerous your Ribena addiction is.
Go for it.
This is one of those lunatics that will like eat or drink anything that they're dared to by fucking idiots. So yeah, he went with an entire bottle of undiluted Ribena, and his reaction's quite funny. Oh, he's cocky at first. Hang on a minute. Hang on. that noise? Like a fucking typewriter. Oh, what are you doing?
Fucking hell. Fucking up my stomach. Fuck's sake,
That's like a big one as well.
Fucking Jesus. That's what you're doing to your body. With
I
your
think-
Ribena.
All of the I'm looking at a bottle now. All of the nutrition information is diluted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, for Phantom of Black, presumably you have a similar product, just called something different. It's like a kind of a fruit juice thing, but it's concentrated. So you're supposed to put a little bit into the cup and then put water in to like dilute it. It's like a squash type drink. But if you drink it neat like that, fuck me, I'm surprised it didn't literally blow his head off.
I know, right? Just turn and end up like red, like one of the characters out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Wow. Mad shit.
I mean, so it's apparently supposed to dilute it 1 to 4. So it's so it's like if you multiply it by 5, so the amount of sugar has to be 42 grams. So it's like, so is that 200 grams of sugar?
Oh fuck me!
A fifth of a kilo.
Oh my god. Okay, well that guy's definitely getting fucking diabetes then. He can expect to lose a leg within the fortnight, I think. Fuck me. That is fucking grim. Why do
Grim.
I mean, to be fair, in terms of the oh my god, what is that? You people are demented. In terms of clout chasing shit, that's not even as bad as some of it get, obviously, but that's still rough.
Some of us are raided into Hassan.
True. That's a literal screenshot from my first ever live stream. I came out like that. Full beard. Fact. Yes. So Hassan was speaking at the Cambridge Union, a place I'm vaguely familiar with, and yeah, he gave a speech. It was very good. Although there's no point listening to it because, like, you sort of know what he's going to say. Like, maybe,
Genocide bad.
Maybe let's not kill the Palestinians. You know. Okay, fair. And then the Q&A happened, and this German, I think he's German, I don't know, guy stood up and decided to be a wanker.
So, talking about all these different issues, I want to head to another issue which I find particularly interesting. You're widely considered Champagne Socialist across both aisles. And I saw that you were traveling here on first class when you came to the UK. Me personally, I never went on first class. I hope you had a comfortable travel.
But you need to travel first class to your fucking barber, mate. What is that hairline? Good lord.
But yeah, I still think it's an issue worth pointing out because when it comes to especially the consumption of luxury goods, sports cars, $1 million property, which you have been known to engage in, how can you justify yourself as a moral character on the left when you are benefiting more than many capitalists are from what you're doing as being a Twitch streamer? Exploiting other streamers through your reaction content, which you are, which is a wide...
How is he exploiting other streamers? What?
What? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. Does he? Maybe he meant viewers, but even then, like, it's voluntary. Like, no, literally, no one is making you do anything. I mean, I do. I personally go around to the house of everyone that doesn't subscribe to me, and I bully them to give me $5 a month or subscribe with Amazon Prime. See what I did there?
Also drop bits.
What a fucking segue.
Or you can drop bits, 200 bits for text to speech.
Exactly. I mean, some people would say it's like a protection racket that I'm offering you. I'm essentially saying I won't physically assault you if you give me money. But the thing you don't realise is that I also won't physically assault you if you don't. It's an entirely idle threat, and I'm joking. But you can give us both money, and you should. True. Anyway, yes, so Hassan is a bad socialist because house.
That's the thing, right? Is that you can critique the conspicuous consumption, Because it's weird to me that the commodity in question that had everyone mad about Hassan was the house. You know, the thing that you literally need to be able to live in. You can't not live without a house. You need one. And
Have you heard of a tent? Have you heard of a tent?
But he bought it in LA, which is where he lives. So 2.5 million, wasn't it? Something like that. That's like normal LA prices for a house. And it's not just him living on his own. He houses his entire family in the house. So,
which is like the most Turkish thing about him.
I mean, it is, yeah. But and it's just like, he has like he buys like ridiculous, expensive T-shirts to go to Coachella and shit like that, right? Or expensive cars. Like, if you're gonna go ahead, if you have a go at him for conspicuous consumption, not that I think that matters, because at the end of the day, socialism is about a method of production, not about consumption. Anyway, then if you're gonna get mad at conspicuous consumption, why don't get mad at the actually conspicuous consumption, like expensive muscle cars, and not indeed the very important commodity of a house that he actually lives in?
Would it be okay if he bought the expensive cars if he also let his family drive it? Just because I want to see Cenk in a sports car, because that is a very funny image to me, like a clown on a tiny bicycle.
Literally, that would honestly. I bet you he's going to buy one as part of his midlife crisis.
Well, all the money. Look, with the right wing grift they're doing, the Koch brother, lol. The Koch brother money is definitely going to come rolling in. So he's going to be at that fucking Ferrari dealership before you know it. They're socially necessary. Anyway, back to this guy telling us his fucking life story, apparently. Because apparently everyone turned up to listen to this wanker and not Hasan. A minute into his question, by the way, already.
You put in that much effort as the other students that you're engaged do reacting to. And furthermore, when it comes to... Can we keep it brief if we can? When it comes to the...
Yeah, that ship sailed, lad.
What do you think Marx, Lenin, Rosa Luxemburg, Hitler, what do you think they would say about this kind of new brand of socialism that you represent? Which is, by any measure of it... I think we're asking the same question here. I think that you are. We're very short for time. Please. Real societal revolution change, because you are no more than a cafeteria.
Okay.
Just faded
Thank you for
out.
the question. I don't know how familiar you are with Karl Marx, but his bestie literally had a factory, so I don't think that he had that much issue with people that came from means. But having said,
well, both Marx and his wife came from means of a sort. They weren't like phenomenally wealthy, but they weren't poor. They were both highly educated, middle class Germans, you know.
So, yeah, they had the time to be able to sit around talking about shit.
Yeah. Although I do love his attitude towards work. I forget which book, it might have been one of the editions of Capital. His editor wrote to him about 6 months after it was due to be handed in, and Marx wrote back to him excitedly that it's okay, I've just started writing it. Genius. The man was... I mean, he was thorough, I'll give him that, but also a bit of a lazy, scruffy cunt as well.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, I was about to say, look, he very much copied my style. Yeah. Except he made a massive impact on world history. And so will I.
You've already claimed the name of Milo Yiannopoulos.
True, exactly, yeah. Yeah, true.
I do think that it's a good point. What you rise is the point that you brought up, that socialism is about being in a poverty cult or living an ascetic lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a socialist supposed to be fucking homeless. Like, it doesn't make sense. Your critique here is fucking stupid. Especially when, like you say, there are plenty of things you can have a go at Hasan for.
Oh yeah, plenty.
But, like... Oh, house!
He fucking glazed up a Houthi on stream by asking about One Piece. Like, I'm sorry, there's plenty of reasonable criticisms of Hasan. You own house is not one of them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think, pure reactionary garbage. The entire purpose of socialist movements is to allow people to have their own individual freedoms, to have autonomy in their lives, to be able to have some semblance of workplace democracy so they can experience these freedoms and feel like a fucking human being. And that is what I practice, and that is what I preach as well. I have a cooperative in the way that I have my own podcast is equal say, equal pay. My producer, March, is sitting right there. Makes a lot more money than the average Twitch streamer does, as a matter of fact, for that reason. And I'm a truly fortunate person. I'm truly fortunate for being able to find such success in this field. As far as the accusations of exploitation, outside of participating in capitalism, which is impossible to avoid unless you go and, I guess, live in the woods and make.
Insert Boar's comic here. Basically.
Indeed, it's just the Boar's comic, as it always is.
Yeah.
Your own axe and cut the trees down and build a home for yourself that way. It's impossible to avoid capitalism. That's why most socialists will say that there's no ethical consumption. As far as like my glamorous lifestyle goes, these are voluntary subscriptions that people choose to sign on for. I've told people time and time again that they do not have to subscribe to me, but if they want to, they can. Back in the day, it was to avoid the top of the hour ad break.
Nice.
I don't even serve ads anymore. I do a decent amount of fundraising on top of that, even though I don't think that philanthropy is socialism. I don't think that it works that way. And I work with labor movements in general. I'd say that someone of my level of wealth or my level of means is perfectly valid and perfectly appropriate. You might consider that to be self-serving, but I don't. And it's never been something that is inconsistent. When I was broke, I advocated for the same exact things that I advocate for now, and people would say, you're just jealous of the wealthy. Now that I do have money, people say you're a hypocrite. And I don't know what the expectation.
It's almost like neither criticism was actually good faith to begin with.
That's it, right? You're absolutely right. It's not good faith at all. I mean, a lot of people do it reflexively because, again, they think socialism is a poverty cult. Oh, they just don't understand what socialism even is. Again, as I said, it's about a critique of production. There's a reason why Capital is literally called a critique of capitalist production.
Hang on, no, but I was told that it was when the government does stuff.
Oh, true. Sorry. That is, I mean, I literally do sell a T-shirt that says that, so I can't really complain. But
Fair.
But yeah, like they think it's not about consumption; it's about production. It's a whole. That's the whole point. Is how you produce the commodities in the first place.
Fair.
Is from the expectation is for someone like myself to just like cast aside. Once I got a little bit of money, this socialism shit is over. You want me to become like a right-wing Ben Shapiro type of person? Like, you want me to cast aside my values and my principles? No, I'm not going to do that. So I'm very fortunate, and I try to use all of that fortune for good and to continue uplifting voices that are unheard and to continue to advocate for people to get that same level of emancipation and autonomy in their workplaces and across the board. It's no different than my advocacy for against police brutality. I'm not black, but I speak on black issues. I'm not trans, but I speak against transphobia. It's I am not any longer broke, but it doesn't change that dynamic for me even a little bit. I think that it's I'm still going to continue doing that, regardless of the home that I purchased for myself. It's not, it's not my fault that the California housing market is dog shit. I purchased a house for myself that my family can live in. That's a pretty valid thing. That's a pretty normal thing. I think that's something that everyone should be able to do, should be able to get. Now, if I were to say, well, I own a home now, so I think the housing market is good. We shouldn't do any public housing. We shouldn't claw back housing prices. Then yeah, that would be inconsistent. That would be hypocritical. I guess it would be more consistent in the way that you interpret who I am and what I should be, what values I should be presenting. But I think that would be true hypocrisy.
Now, all very good and valid points, but he is, It's difficult to interpret this in any way other than selling out. Okay?
A 6-year-old conversation that I had with a landlord friend of mine at the time. Yeah, I wouldn't take that too seriously. But thank you. No, I am not an advocate for killing landlords.
What a cock.
Lip!
What a fucking cock. What a sellout piece of shit.
Lip. Shit, lip!
True. Common Hassan Al. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to exist in capitalism to the following. Thank you, Solly, for resubscribing for 17 months, and thank you, Scribby, for resubscribing with Prime. Much love to you. Don't forget you can give me money in the various ways.
Likewise, thank you very much to Ollie is a Ninja for the membership and the 10 gifted, to Grand Dude for the Prime, for Moribund Worlds with the new Prime,
Nice.
and Jim Speak with the Prime as well. Thank you very much for throwing your Bezos bucks my way and keeping me employed here on Twitch.tv.
True. Now, if we move over to Keir Starmer with the Labour Party Government Relaunch 22 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. I just, this annoyed me before we even get to the fucking content. The British media are total dog shit, right? And never more so than when they do stuff like this. Tom Harwood, a guy who I've grown to fucking hate, with this amazing piece of insight. Can you think of any movies where the goodie stands in front of a big red background?
Honestly, Tom Harwood is the funniest journalist in the country because he just has a massive like rage boner for the the most weird things. Like he still to this day moans about the fact that Sadiq Khan refused planning permission to build a giant glowing orb in the centre of London.
Yeah, he's a twat. He's just a twat. End of. Anyway, so yes, they did a relaunch because the government, it's going so well that they're literally polling in third place behind the Conservatives and Reform. Literally, it's going about as badly as anyone could imagine, and then worse. Whatever you thought was the worst case scenario, this is worse.
You remember, yeah, like remember how before the election we all literally said this is exactly what's going to happen, and wouldn't you know it, we are cursed like all leftists to be right at the wrong time.
True. Now, do we care what this person has to say at all?
Angela Slainer? No, I don't.
Okay, so we can skip for, I don't know who this other person is, to Sir Keith. Doing Sir Keith things. I don't know who this is.
I mean, do we even need to hear him say the change that he's getting? Because it's just fucking. Do you want to go to the Q&A? The Q&A is the fun bit.
Okay.
It's awesome. Oh, he talks the whole fucking hour.
Yep. No, this is the whole thing.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, at least this way we might be able to bore the journalists in this country to death.
I don't know where the Q&A starts. It's difficult to tell with him because he always sort of looks like he's looking at specific people. Hang on. Well, that's where the clapping is. So let's listen to the sycophancy of the fucking Glazers, and then, yeah. Oh, it's a bit golf clap.
Thank you. I'm now going to take a number of questions from the media. I'm starting with Chris Mason from the BBC. Chris.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason at BBC News. You've set out these milestones this morning. Immigration isn't one of them, but you have talked about it and it is in the document. And so people might wonder whether it's a priority or not. Thank you.
There are basics in government. One of them is security and security of our borders. And they're foundational. And they must be delivered. So immigration...
No one believes this for a second.
Also, it's just really funny that he just can't stop saying foundation. Like, even when he's not talking about fixing the foundations, he has to say foundation at some point.
He does, yeah.
Also, if it's a foundational milestone, that is a contradiction in terms, isn't it, Dockyard? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I suppose a milestone needs a foundation.
Oh God, it's just so many things. On Novara this evening, I called it literally paint by numbers politics.
Yeah.
It's just, nobody wants this.
Nobody wants this. Just having like corporatist, centrist, like managerial wank is not what anyone wanted. When they
No,
said
exactly.
change, it wasn't change to basically exactly what was there before.
And it feels like a corporate away day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it is, yeah. This is a guy who's done lots of team building exercises,
Yeah.
and now he's tasked with turning the ship of the state around from the fucking cliff edge. Oh, it's awful. No one wants this. Nobody wants this. I mean, they're even... Oh, God. Everything he says is a lie. I mean, I don't know how far we'll get into this, but I hope we get to the bit where... that he said that there was going to be 100% green energy by such and such a time. And now in the document it says 95%. And one of the journalists asked him, is this you... is this you marking it down or something? And he said, no, we're not marking it down, we're doubling down on it. No, you are, because the number 95 is less big than the number 100. You are literally doing the 5% less. So you are, you absolutely are. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you can't lie about two numbers that you produced. What the fuck?
I've said plenty of times, these people genuinely think that the electorate is stupid.
Well, seemingly they fucking are to a degree, because, like, even on the current pollings, nearly 50% want to vote for either these Tories or the other Tories.
And another 25% for the other Tories.
Yeah, for the three shades of shit that we're going to get at the next election, yeah.
Well, at least in the next election, we have a new choice. We have cyan Tories. Wow.
Ooh, funky.
Absolutely. What a
yeah.
what a
Where they
novelty.
don't pretend not to be sex pests.
True. I mean, to be fair, Richard Tice said, well, he didn't. It wasn't a sex pest, but Richard Tice was just like, well, we don't. It's just his story versus the victim and the court documents.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, that little
Yeah, he
that
literally
little
tried to pull-
snafu.
Yeah, Richard Tice had tried to pull he said, she said off of something that literally went to court, and we have court documents saying that she was right.
It's just he said, she said, the court said, the judge said, the jury said, and the prison sentence said. So, you know, it's 50-50, really. Anyway, yeah, oh God, this is so shit. He's so shit. And the thing, that Nigel Farage is going to be like a dog with 7 dicks tonight on Question Time. Yeah, he's on Question Time for the millionth fucking time. Because fucking Tim Montgomery, the founder of Conservative Home, which is, I don't even know how to describe it for me. It's basically an internet conservatoid wankfest.
It's like vampire. It's like Vampire Freaks, but for people who like to watch poor people die.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, kind of poverty energy vampires, I guess.
Yeah. Bebo for cunts.
Yeah, basically. And he's now defected. He's joined the Reform Party, which just goes to show you they are now the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party itself is like dead, basically.
And this is a gigantic defection. Like Tim
Yeah, no, it
Montgomery's
really
gonna-
is. Yeah, it's totemic because, like I say, he was sort of the guy that sort of was one of the behind-the-scenes knowers of things. He was like the guy you would get on to a fucking press thing to talk about, you know, what's going on inside the Conservative movement. And now he's like, no, I don't want to be involved with these cunts anymore. I'm Reform. Nigel Farage, he's going to be more smug than usual, if you can imagine such a thing.
I mean, yeah, Tim Montgomery is very much the Tory Aisha Hazarika, otherwise known as Aisha Hazarika.
Yeah.
Control of immigration must be delivered. That is a foundational principle.
Foundational!
That any government must do. The missions then sit on top of that. They're the change that the government will then bring about. And so these are...
Oh my God.
So you've got missions on top of foundational milestones.
On top of changes, on top of
This
first
is just-
steps, on top of shifts, on top of missions, on top of pledges.
It's managerial wank. It's
Pablum.
It is pablum, absolutely. It reminds me of the what the fuck philosophy tube point in their video about trying to get trans healthcare, and they said that one of these research documents that was produced by X government office was there just to exist. It wasn't really there to be read. None of its conclusions really meant anything or were going to be implemented. It was just a thing that was there so that they could say they'd done a study on this thing. They produced a paper on this thing as a kind of, well, we've covered this. It's a way of sort of hand-waving the actual issue out of the way. And this is a government via that, basically. Words and policies are essentially there not to really be implemented for the betterment of anything, including the government themselves, but just to exist so they can pretend they're doing something.
Yeah.
Whereas actually what they're doing is just absolute continuity. Pretty much. They're fucking worthless and will deserve to get absolutely crushed at the next election. And they will be. Unless they change drastically, they will be.
I mean, they probably will change, but they'll change for the worse. They'll make Wes Streeting Prime Minister. Probably,
and then I'm not sure I even want to emigrate to another country. I think I might go to another planet. I think it might be the only solution. Venus is nice this time of year.
I mean, I'm genuinely saying this is not just a bit. Like, I'm genuinely thinking, well, if we're going to have a reform UK government in 5 years' time, I should probably plan to leave the country now, or have plans for leaving the country before then. It's not going to be nice for trans people if Nigel Farage is Prime Minister.
I will put this out to any trans person. I have an Irish passport. I'm happy to marry you in, and this isn't a joke. I will do this. I've got no problem committing marriage fraud. Fuck it. And you can get yourself a passport and escape if necessary. And I mean that absolutely. I may be coming with you. I don't know.
Integral to our plan. They're the foundational stone of the plan.
A foundational stone of the plan.
So there's a foundational stone on the foundations of the milestone plan for pledge and change. Good. I'm not sure you can even play bingo anymore because he's come up with such banal shit. It's become difficult to predict exactly what formation of words he's going to waste our time with.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we go back to just mission-led government or something? I'm pining for the times where, like, he'd mention his dad being a toolmaker for fucking 20 times in a single interview. Quaint.
We'll bring in immigration down, both legal and illegal. But I take that as the basic security that any government must deliver, and we build the 5 missions, the plan for change on that. Thank you, Chris. Can I come to...
Oh, leftist audio.
I got stuck, I'm up. Prime Minister Beth Rigby, Sky News. I want to follow up on Chris's question because I'm a bit confused. You say migration in this country under the Tories is unforgivable. You said borders are one of your top 2 priorities. You put tackling small boats...
Oh, lefty conspirator, the Irish elections were entirely indecisive.
So rough, so disappointing.
Yeah.
Simon Harris had such a terrible campaign, and I'm so sad that he came he didn't even drop that many votes.
Yeah, but it's a country in flux. There's a lot going on there. But either way, like it's deadlock, pretty much.
I mean, it's just going to be FFFG plus some independents backing them up, right?
Almost certainly, yeah. But I mean, that won't last. There's no way that holds. Yeah. It's not quite as bad as France, though, where things are going mental.
Panic watch! R.I.P. Barnier.
Oh, Barnier, we hardly knew ye. And that's a good thing, because your government was always entirely illegitimate. Get fucked, you prick.
Absolutely. Oh, it's...
Au revoir, dickhead.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack, for the 1999. Yes, foundational conceptual paving slabs are planned to build more tool-making factories to grow the economy. I couldn't say better than that.
Honestly, that should replace the words "the land of hope and glory." It's beautiful. It's like Shakespeare never went away, really.
Into your mission promises before the election, adding it to your 5 missions, and yet on the banners behind you, there's nothing there. In the 6 milestones of measurement, there's nothing there. So you
look, you don't even need to be specific. You can just say there's nothing there.
Your government, your head.
Yeah, your head, your heart, your principles.
Conscience.
Yeah. your human decency. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there at all.
Yeah. You are an
devoid.
empty vessel of, well, nothing.
Public one metric on which to measure when it can't because you fear failure, or is it because you said it was a priority to win, but actually it's not even in your top 6? Thank you.
No, Beth,
So this is the thing. Everyone knows that he's not really that bothered about immigration. Everyone fucking knows it. So
Yeah.
him trying to pander to them doesn't work. Not a single person who has been drawn to reform by the immigration issue is ever coming to vote for you. So why are you alienating people who you could bring to your side for people who you cannot?
Thing is, I think it would be very easy for him to just say we want to bring immigration numbers down.
Yeah.
900,000 in 22-23 was far too high, right? There are sometimes things we need immigration for, but we don't need to have that high level of immigration every year. So we want to see those numbers come down, and then just leave the conversation there. But rather than just having an answer, he's decided to have this whole shtick and just say I'm going to out barrage the Farage. And I'm just like, well, it's not going to happen though, is it?
No.
the way we've constructed it is that there are foundational things that a government must do, and they are based on security. So national security is obvious, but border security is equally obvious in my view, and that's why I've said we are committed to bringing down immigration, both legal and illegal. We must stop people crossing in
Smash the
both
gangs.
the channel, and we have to get to grips with the volume of regular migration we have in this country. The statistics last week were shocking. Net migration.
Thing is, he
is 11
says,
million.
right, about border security and national security, job security, financial security,
Housing
those?
security?
yeah.
No? Okay. Security to not get stabbed up and that? No.
Security to not be shot for being a healthcare CEO. I'll forget that one actually.
No, that's that. Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. Yeah, actually, he mentions in this document about 15,000 extra police, and I think to myself, why would you boast about releasing 15,000 more domestic abusers and rapists onto the street? That's not a good thing. The communications on this are terrible. 15,000 more racists. Why do we need that?
Quadrupled in just 4 short years. It is
Yeah, that's a good
particularly
point
hard to bring
actually.
that down.
Sofa reacts. If he's so sure about his milestones and his pledges, why doesn't he carve them into stone?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, cast it in stone. That's the only way I can truly believe a politician.
I mean,
anymore.
the brains behind the Edstone is now a sitting Labour MP.
Brilliant.
So clearly, it's down for a redux.
And what I especially love is I can definitely believe this series of milestone claims of foundational pledges of plans, because the other foundational milestone pledge plan of reforming the House of Lords and not just filling it up with your mates is definitely now actually just not going to happen at all. He's going to stack it with loads of his cronies, including, of course, Thangam Debonair.
Indeed. And what's funny is like Thangam Debonair's obviously just getting it just to say, "Oh, Diddums, isn't it sad that you lost your election by like
Can we get some
15,000 votes to Carla Denyer?"
Yeah, Dobbs in chat for that one. Love it.
Absolutely. On top of that, it's not just honours for mates; it's honours for favours.
Yeah.
He's handing out peerages to people who stepped down at the election to make way for new talent. So
Which Thangam Debonair did by losing to someone who is talented. So that's, you can't say fairer than that.
It's our duty to do it, and that's why I said it out in my speech that is what we would do, and we will do it. The missions are then the additional things that we want the government to
Yeah, on top of the milestones. Yes, we know.
Well, fucking hell, it's clear that no one in the fucking Starmer Politburo has actually read Mission Economy. Like, the missions are central. The missions are the central
Would you say
aims
they're foundational?
I would, yeah, probably. But the thing is that every single thing has to work towards those missions. Missions are the end point of the way in which you develop your plan for government. Right? Everything has to fold into those missions. They are not ancillary to the milestones. The milestones are things upon the way to the missions. I hate this fucking managerial bullshit, and I know it better than he does because I fucking read the book.
True, but the thing is, you care, whereas he doesn't fucking care.
That's true.
I don't know.
Change that we want to bring about, and that's why we set them out in our manifesto. Each of the chapters in our manifesto was an example of how.
No, your manifesto was nothing. I read it. It was nothing. You didn't pledge to do anything. It was vague. So. It was vague, like growth, and we've got a plan for the growth, and the growth plan, and plan, growth. It was nothing. There was no actual policy, or very little actual policy in there.
And deliberately so they just make it up on the fly when they're in government.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, I genuinely hope that Tory lords just start using the Parliament Act. I genuinely just think, well, it wasn't in your manifesto, so we're going to block it.
Yep.
The fatal motion of this shit, because you didn't promise anything in manifesto. You have no democratic mandate for this. Either promise these things you're going to do, or we'll vote it down.
True, although it is funny to hear the House of Lords, when it occasionally does, go on about having a democratic mandate. Like, bitch, please. Who the fuck are you? You've got literal bishops. Shut up. Like, shut the fuck up.
It's God, it's just have the worst political system. I hate it so much.
It's so shit. I love being told I live in a democracy. I can't elect, anything to do with a job, obviously. I can't elect the upper chamber of parliament. I can't elect the executive. I can't elect the head of state. Brilliant. Yeah, what a fucking great democracy that is. Oh yeah, and all of the papers are owned by two cunts.
And when you try and vote somebody out, they end up back in the government anyway.
Or on the TV every day, haunting my fucking dreams, Jonathan Ashworth. Please leave me alone. God almighty.
For that. And the plan for change then takes them forward with measurable milestones so that the public...
Measurable milestones. The thing about a milestone is, you don't need to measure it. It's a fucking mile. That's literally what a milestone is. The milestone is the measurement. You don't measure the honestly, it is. It's just corporate pablum. If he says the word synergy at some point, I'm going to fucking scream. I swear.
But synergy equals enablement, and conversely, enablement also means synergy.
Well, clearly he's been in touch with Consultio/Consultius.
Consultius.
Which is a
true.
Little
that's the
callback.
That's their Labour rebrand in 50% of the workforce. New logo, boom, out. You are now a fully trained management consultant.
Oh, take me, Johnson. Which is that might be a Boris-related thing now. People won't understand that reference. You've either watched the show or your life is poorer for it.
That we need to make in the missions, but the foundation is still the foundational stone on which this is built, which of course includes as an integral part.
Oh, it's integral. It's not just foundational.
Robert from ITV.
Robert Beston at ITV. Prime Minister, I don't know whether your
the fuck happened to his voice?
But there's actually never been a parliament in modern times when real household disposable income didn't rise. I mean, it rose the lowest on record in the last parliament, and it's currently forecast by the Office for Budget.
Honestly, I don't know what the fuck Robert Peston has been doing, but that voice is rough.
I mean, he sounds lowest. I mean, he sounds worse than Nick Robinson, who had throat cancer.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds like he's been on 40 a day for 20 years.
On record in this parliament, largely because you put up employers' national insurance. So what is your target for increasing real household disposable income, living standards? Because unless you put a new...
You can literally see, if you try and look behind his eyes, you can literally hear like the grinding of gears with a fucking monkey bashing a cymbal, and he doesn't know what to say to this.
That's a good point as well. Ben pointing out in chat that they say real household incomes rose in the last parliament. Did they all over the country though? Did they actually?
No, they did mainly in London and the home counties. I'm guessing if you go to Lincolnshire, probably not. Just a guess.
Yeah, I'm sure real household incomes are doing really well in Grimsby.
Yes.
Or in Keighley.
True. Which, again, those are real places that exist to the Americans.
Numerical target on it, it's a meaningless milestone.
Yeah.
One of the worst
He's so useless. He's made the quantifying of what a mile is a worthless measurement. That's what Keir Starmer has done. He's made a thing that was useful for thousands of years irrelevant. The Romans navigated a continent using that shit, and he's just like, I don't know, milestone foundation plan change pledge.
failures of the last government was that living standards went down. People were actually worse off at the end of the government than they were at the beginning of the government. That's unforgivable. And that's what we want to turn around, to make sure people feel they're better off. There's one thing that came across in...
Oh my god, what is it with this fucking audio?
Well, but what I will say is actually interesting. I mentioned this on Novara earlier as well, which is that the one thing that seems like a good change here is, rather than talking about economic growth in the abstract, just saying, oh, well, our aim is to make line go up because that means the world is more gooder. We're actually resetting it to be tangible and actually about people's real material outcomes and how they feel how far they feel that their money goes. So that's obviously a mistake that the Democrats made at the last election.
Yeah.
Where they spent the entire time saying, oh, the economy is great. Look at these numbers. The numbers say the economy is great. I can't afford healthcare. My student loan repayments are incredibly high, and the petrol is expensive, and eggs are $7.
Eggs.
And it's just like, well, these are the real material things people will see every day, and whether or not bottom quartile wages are outpacing inflation or not, which they were, but all the entirety of the time post-Inflation Reduction Act, because you know how much I love the IRA on this stream.
Massive fans, yeah.
Big fan of that IRA that Joe Biden passed. Bottom quartile wages did outpace inflation. Living standards were increasing. Purchases of, consumer electronics were increasing throughout this entire time period, right? But that doesn't change how far people feel their money goes. And it's all about that perception. It's not necessarily about whether the numbers are good or not.
Exactly. It's like with crime. Crime has been dropping pretty much consistently for the last 40 years, but the fear of crime has been going through the roof. Because right-wing media lies and says everyone's a criminal. The criminal immigrant's going to come and bomb your dog,
Ask people the questions on the doorsteps up and down the country. Do you...
Also, yeah, good point actually in chat there.
There's only one answer given to that.
He's become Italian.
He has become a little bit Italian, that is true.
Well, oh god, imagine, remember the days? Remember the fucking... Oh, it was like 6 years ago that we had the Italian AOC memes. Oh, it was simpler times, wasn't it?
It was. How innocent and quaint it all seems.
Yeah.
Question, which was no. And that's what we intend to turn around.
Oh god, now he's doing the Trump pinching the wings off a fly thing.
He's doing it.
Oh no.
Also, if he's Italian and he's also somebody who claims to be a socialist but actually spends his time sucking up to big business and scaremongers about people from other countries, that makes him Benito Mussolini.
707's in chat, people. Let's fucking go.
Stabilising the economy was an essential first step, because until you stabilise the economy...
Hang on, if he's going to be Benito Mussolini, we need to do this right. I can't really do this on your end, I can only do it through the OBS. But I'm going to... hang on, how do I... That's one, there we go, boom. Ah! Boom, there we go. Upside down Starmer, let's go.
You can't build anything. On that, we then drive at living standards and drive them up. And people know when they're better off. It's one of the first things that people talk about. Of course we'll go on, that's what the milestones are here. They all ladder up to our plan to make
They're
sure
a ladder
living
now.
standards go up. But This is, I think, one of the most important people. Do people feel that they're better off? Do they feel safe? Do they feel they've got an NHS that's working for them? These are the fundamentals I think everybody is most concerned
Fundamental
about.
foundations,
Thank you very much,
yeah.
Robert. Chris, Hope.
Chris Hope from GB News, Prime Minister. Again, sorry on secure borders.
Fucking hell!
The plan is to reduce migration.
Is it possible for British journalists to talk about anything else?
Nope.
It's just all the questions: immigration, 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 immigration. If it drowns, it leads.
Overall small boat crossings. GB News viewers will be saying simply, "Is that it, Prime Minister? Why can't you stop the boats and cut down migration
Stop
to
the
under 100,000?
boats!
Is it because you can't or you don't want to? And just very quickly, can you afford all this?"
Both. He can't, and he doesn't really care to.
Yeah.
With no more big tax rises.
Look, Chris, we are going to drive down migration, both legal and illegal. That will only be done with a serious plan. We had a gimmick for a number of years called Rwanda. What happened?
No, Rwanda's a country. Rwanda isn't a gimmick, it's a country in Africa. I think you mean the Rwanda resettlement plan. Can we end this gimmick of Guinea-Bissau, please? That's nonsense now. That is Benito Mozilla, you're quite right. What was I going to say?
No, you can't say that and not play it, Kev.
Oh, okay.
You can't. It's the fun. Oh my god, you have to watch it again.
Okay, well, hang on. I'm not going to have him upside down. That would be ridiculous. So I'll reset the thing. There we go. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, endorsed Trump, so you know.
Oh no, he's a fascist, but like it just wouldn't make sense anymore. Plus, I did the joke. You get the bit.
Yeah.
We're back to having the Prime Minister the right way up for now. Aidan Ross, fascist, absolute belter. Here we go. Again, this is the perfect example that capitalism does not reward the best people.
What does a fascist mean? It means you are a far right authorization on ultra analyst political ideology movement characterized by dictator leadership, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition. So I don't know what that means, bro. I swear to God, I don't know what the fuck a fascism is. I don't know what the fuck that is. Benito Mussolini and Giviante Gentile and Jason Stanley. Like, who the fuck are these people, bro? Never heard of my fucking life. What is an example of a fascist? Yo!
Autocracity.
Centralized autocratics.
Is the greatest made-up word ever. Love it. Love it.
The numbers went up. We wasted a lot of money, £700 million, removing 4 volunteers to Rwanda. It didn't work. The only way to make it work is to smash the gangs that are running.
Hey, smash the gangs! Everyone take a drink.
Setting up the command that is
Bingo.
needed to do that, and with the enforcement action that follows through. And as you know, there was a very significant arrest just the other week in relation to the work that we are doing. That is how you do it. That is serious. That is a government that absolutely is getting. You invite me to put an arbitrary number on it. For 14 years, we had an arbitrary number under the previous government. They said it was a hard cap. It wasn't hard, and it wasn't a cap. The net result of their deliberate policies was that migration went up 4 times, staggering those figures of last year. So we will not be following that approach. We're going to do this in a serious way to take migration down. And I think that's what the British public want. A serious plan to ensure we've got control of our borders.
No, I'm not actually playing bingo. It's just that is always one of the things he says. So.
Arbitrary caps. Not thing from the last 14 years. It's that they have the opposite of the desired effect. Thank you very much, Chris. Gary from Channel 4.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I'd like to follow on something that Robert Peston was asking about there, because you say people know if their income's gone
That's
up.
true. They said it was a cap, but unfortunately that was cap.
He's capping. He's also he's also a yapper. He as a capaholic and a yapaholic. That's the that was the phrase that Fatima Payman used.
But you're very specific in here. You're saying you want the measure used, annual average growth of household incomes. You want that measure to go up. It went up by 0.3% in the last Parliament, and it's projected by the OBR to go up by 0.5%. Do you, under your yourself a pass mark if it is 0.5%? Is that job done? And I've got to ask some of these other ones, which are slightly puzzling. On the NHS pledge milestone, sorry. What happens to all the other ones? That
Even the journalists are taking a piss, just fucking donking on him.
Although, they should go. They should do the whole. They should go the whole hog. So pledge. I mean, first step. I mean,
foundation.
Mission. I mean, shift. I mean, foundation. I mean, milestone.
Yeah.
On the NHS in the general election, like, for instance, 4-hour waiting times for A&E, and can I also ask you, make a point in this document of talking about the 1.5 million homes in England?
Gary, it's one question.
Well, it's a long document. We've come a long way.
Yeah, but I mean, we're never going to. A lot of people to get through.
You change your language here on housing, and you say it's hugely ambitious. Is that because you actually think the 1.5 million is a bit of a moonshot, and you're not going to get there, and you're preparing the ground for that?
Well, Gary, let me take all three parts of your question. Firstly, on living standards, look, nobody feels they're better off under the last government. And, you know, we just tested that on the 4th of July across the entire country. One of the main conversations on every doorstep was people saying they didn't feel better off. In fact, they felt worse off. That's what we are intending to change, and that's why we've made it one of the priorities under the plan. On the second point you make about the NHS, because I do not accept the proposition that because you drive to deal with waiting lists, then everything else must suffer. That is part of the
Italian
of the last 14 years. It's part of the reason you have managed decline, because you accept that, and you accept other standards can go down. I don't accept that. And that's why we're going to drive this hard on delivery. That's why we're going to drive through reform.
Whoa. He's going to drive his hard on? It's hard on delivery.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Fair enough. Well, oh god. If you're going to do puns, you force me. I was going to save this for one of my streams, but you forced me to be dirty. Sport is very, very homoerotic. This is just a fact. This is just what it is. Where are we? Here we go. So these are just two ladies watching some sport.
You have to like when there's a guy coming right in your face and he just sits in there and delivers it.
Got guys coming down his face.
Feeling is the Cowboys probably coming right down their throats.
Tyrell Williams. He beats.
Needed 2 thrusts to get it in. Bynes has been coming all night long, but then he pulls out and it's just hard. It's been a while since he's seen a hole that big. He almost didn't know what to do. Got 5 inches on him, but somebody's going to get that gobbler at the end of this game, too.
Receiver coach has been blown away by Crabtree's hands and his ability to suck in these balls.
They'll have to be really good to beat us.
I think their D's been fine. I think their D has really probably performed above expectations coming in.
Is a thick wide receiver who is powerful from the waist down.
Everybody loves Dick around the list.
You have to like when there's a guy.
If you go to YouTube and you go for search for Cassette Boy the football bit, another one very, very excellent. But instead of being American commentators, British commentators, which makes it even funnier for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. Cassette Boy football.
You're not sharing it, by the way.
Oh yes, I'm about to.
There we go.
Tonight signals the end of the football season.
Got Shearer excited.
David Beckham pulls off Sean Wright-Phillips.
Wright-Phillips is a handful. And love conquers everything.
Glorious opportunity for Paul Scholes.
To come in underneath Rio Ferdinand. Oh, and he's managed to squeeze it in!
And he squeezed it into the bottom. Paul Scholes squeezed into the butt. And he got it in from an impossible angle.
He's been in that position several times today.
And he's up there now.
Cheeky monkey.
He's just humping.
Grind and grind and grind them up and down and out.
Forward and back, forward and back. Excellent.
It's football for you.
Did just squirt behind.
Paul Scholes
Squirted away.
Paul Scholes
Lasted just a couple of minutes.
Should have done better.
Life's never quite perfect, is it? Giggs goes down.
Wayne Rooney.
Well done, Ryan. Is that how he spends his day off?
Wes Brown's coming on, Ferdinand.
It's a Manchester United romp, and they're all getting in on the act. That's really quite uplifting.
They're nice to watch, and they're certainly adventurous.
They're really, really good
Oh,
too.
fucking David Pleat. Don't remind me about David fucking Pleat. Oh, God. Honestly, I nearly had an aneurysm. He decided to pronounce the Israeli footballer Yossi Benayoun 7 different ways. None of which were correct. Choose one incorrect pronunciation and stick with it. Or just say the Liverpool midfielder or the Liverpool number 7. Like, what? Oh, you prick.
To watch.
Oh my goodness me, we're watching different games.
Anyone interested in who I fancy?
Boris Becker.
Here's John Terry. John Terry's up to the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's coming. There, John Terry comes in behind him. That's on John Terry's CV.
But it hit the goalkeeper in the face. Yeah, he definitely got one in the face. It went right across the front of him. Didn't think you were allowed to do that.
I think what you're seeing is 2 goalkeepers who are suffering. And you see the goalkeeper, Scott Carson, get his legs a yard or 2 apart. He's having a bad time.
He's made a mistake.
He hasn't got a clue what's behind him. Look what's behind him. Frank Lampard. And Frank Lampard, he's not frightened of going where it hurts. Oh, there you go. And he keeps getting in there. Oh, wonderful. He likes to play in that little hole. You know he's going to get the whipping. And he's whipping those balls.
Nice balls.
It was a thrashing.
You don't want to let him come inside. You know what he wants to do, he's going to come inside. You just don't want him doing that. Is it going to come? Both want to spray balls.
Let him come and finish.
He looks at the man, he comes again.
He stinks of a man. Just goes to show what a mad game football is sometimes.
You don't want to let him come inside. It's absolutely right. Anyway, back to the less serious
Regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah.
But the very idea that the moment you say I'm prioritising one thing, that is permission to let go everything else, is completely wrong. It's part of the wrong thinking that we've had for years in politics, and I don't accept it for 1 minute, and it is not built into our assumptions. On the 1.5 million hub, look, it is ambitious. It's huge. This hasn't been done for decades and decades. But we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. That's why we're going to take the difficult decisions. The reasons it hasn't
Difficult
been
decisions.
done, because people are too scared to take the planning decisions that were necessary. They talk the talk, but they didn't actually walk the walk. They didn't strip out the regulations that were needed, didn't get the skills in the right place. Yes, it's ambitious, and as I said candidly, it won't be met if we don't turbocharge this. We can do this, and we're going to do this. It will be an incredible thing for so many people who need a secure roof over their head, somewhere of their own that they can own, and a massive driver of our economy. And again, I don't accept that by setting out clear priorities, somehow that's permission to either underachieve or not bother about other areas. That's part of the thinking that we intend to challenge and to change. Thank you very much, Gary. Natasha from LBC.
Prime Minister, thank you. Natasha Clark, LBC. First it was foundations, then it was missions, then it was steps, now it's milestones. Do you accept that this is quite a confusing plan for the public to understand what on earth your government is
He
going to be?
doesn't have a plan. You almost had a point then. You were doing some nice trolling. And then you went, your plan's confusing. He doesn't have a plan. You know he doesn't have a plan.
He has concepts of a
You
plan.
have the concepts of a plan that has milestones with foundations and pledges and fucking... Oh, it's essential, yeah.
I mean, she didn't even
Be all
mention
about-
pledges, though. And clearly, the journalist class have forgotten that there were any pledges. Otherwise, you'd have to hold him account for being not left-wing enough.
Yeah. Plus, it was they were on board with him breaking those.
Yeah, exactly.
About. And obviously, today you've told us that you're going to downgrade that growth aim from the highest of the G7. It's now just an aim. Clean power on 2030. It's now at least 95%. Are you watering down some of your promises after realising that government is a bit harder than you thought?
No, and the order in which we put things wasn't the order in which I announced them, because I announced the missions 2 years ago as our 5 national.
And of course, after 2 years, your pledge becomes void.
Yes.
Right? After 2 years, you get to make a whole new pledge and change it, and no one can say anything. That's the cut-off period.
Yeah, especially if there's like an election in between. That's fine. Yeah, that's perfectly normal. You know, if you sell people on a completely false pledge that you're then not going to stick to, that's good and fine because adults in the room.
Sensible.
Give a sense of purpose-driven government. And, you know, like all of the strategies I've set down since I became Labour leader before 2019, after getting through the 29 election and then into the election of 2024, we've had a strategy, we've had a plan, and we've stuck to it. So those missions went down 2 years ago. We've stuck to them,
okay.
them now.
To be fair, he did have a plan, and he has stuck to it. And his plan was rat fuck the left at every single opportunity, and wait for the praise to be heaped upon you by the press until you get into government and everybody hates you.
Yeah.
We had them as our foundational documents in the manifesto. As I say, it was a chapter for each mission.
Whoa. I thought the foundational document was the 2017 manifesto.
No, that was the foundations for the foundational measurable supercharged milestones.
That's what we took to the country. That's the change that people voted for.
Oh my God!
The initial steps that we would do, which we indicated that we could do quickly after the elections. Things like setting up GB Energy.
Yeah, the things that the change that people voted for was definitely to have a Quango to maybe feed some poor kids in a year or something.
No, I'm gonna. What are the fucking steps, right? Right, 6 first steps, Labour. Let me have a look. Let me see what they even did. The first 6 steps. Apparently that's over. So what? How have they met these? Have they even met these? Deliver economic stability, I guess. Cut NHS waiting times. They seem to be pretty much the same. Launch a new border security command. That means nothing. Set up Great British Energy. Well, that just involved rebadging the British Business Bank. Crack down on antisocial behaviour and recruit 6,500 new teachers. Well, I don't see any evidence of any of these.
No.
Apart from economic stability, which they have done. We are now economically stable now that we've dealt with the 22 billion black
22 billion that they didn't know about. And how could you possibly have known? Was there anyone before the election that was saying that? I don't think there was. So, checkmate.
Which we have done, and other things we've been able to achieve, putting the money in to drive and make sure we got those 40,000 extra appointments every week. We then passed the budget to make sure we could stabilise the economy, and now we set out the milestones so that people can measure, are we making proper progress on our missions, back to what we said 2 years ago, and what will it feel like for me?
Hang on, I thought the missions were changing now because they were 2 years old. Do some of them have a shelf life? What's the sell-by date on each mission? That's what you need to do. You need to show us. What's the sell-by date per pledge?
Will I have more money in my pocket? Will I be able to get an appointment at the NHS when I need it? So these are, if you like, something for the public to use to hold us to account on what we say we can achieve on the missions in the first 5 years. And I'll be absolutely straight about it is also designed to push and drive the reform that we're going to need if we're going to ensure that we.
It means privatisation.
No, he actually means Reform UK.
Oh no, he's definitely going to turbocharge Reform UK. Yes.
Well, he said in his speech earlier, he said change and reform is coming, and I was just like, yes, reform are coming, in second place ahead of you.
Well, he said change coming. Are the Change UK going to make a phoenix from the flames like return? I do hope so. I hope Chukwuemeka is doing well, and Anna Subri.
At this point, What we actually need is them to launch proportional representation for all the trade unions to abandon the Labour Party, and for us to set up like a green left coalition in response, and let the fucking centrist bellends have their own fucking new Labour wankfest.
I think we genuinely could see something like that, and we're going to end up, I think, in a sort of like France situation, where the traditional left-right parties really aren't anything anymore. Like the Socialist Party is dead. The sort of French conservative wing have been sort of essentially absorbed or taken over by Le Pen. There's, I can see a situation where the Conservative Party here in the UK and the Labour Party here in the UK are effectively, I don't know, like the SDP or something, just sort of dead but still technically in existence.
I think it's what's funny about the Les Républicains getting absorbed into the Front National. Did you, or the Rassemblement National? Did you hear what actually happened? The leader of the Republicans said that they should support the National Rally in the elections. Ciotti, I think his name was, Eric Ciotti. And half the party disagreed with him. So he locked himself in the Republican head office with all of the information so that they couldn't change any of the official documentation and wouldn't let anybody in. It was very funny.
Amazing.
It was almost like it felt like the South Korean government declaring martial law on a very small scale.
Oh, by the way, best coup attempt ever.
Oh my god, very
funny. I think it's literally overtaken January the 6th as the most cack-handed attempt at overthrowing a government ever. Genius. I didn't think you could ever get a absolute 100% agreement on anything in a parliament. 190-0 that you're a bellend, mate. Is quite something. You know what he should do, though? You know what the really Chad manoeuvre would be? He should defect to the north. It'd be fucking brilliant. He should appear alongside Kim Jong-un, who definitely won't murder him within a couple of years. Definitely not. Why would I? You know, it'd be crazy. Anyway.
Bring about the change that's so desperately needed. Thank you very much. I've got Eleanor from the Eye. Eleanor.
Hello, Prime Minister. Eleanor Langford from the Eye paper. Labour previously stated that it was going to achieve 100% clean energy by 2030, but this document today only puts that at 95. Is Labour rowing back on its clean energy pledges?
No, the clean energy pledge is today.
Yes, you are. The number 95 is less big than the number 100. You can't fucking shine this turd. The turd is liquid. Okay? That is 5% at least less. So you are rowing back. Dickhead.
Today exactly what it was in the election. That has always been central to our mission. It's a bit like the 1.5 million homes. It's really difficult. And when we first set it out 2 years ago and started our conversations, almost everybody we spoke to said, that's tough. But then when we developed those conversations, people said it can be done, but it can only be done if it's turbocharged. So there's no watering down.
Turbocharged!
Doubling down on the determination to achieve it. Thank you very much. Martin from the Express.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I'll have another stab at immigration.
Even there... Look, I'll have another chance to try and get you to answer the question, you prick. We are fucking 4 or 5 months in at this point, and they're already disgusted with him. This honestly feels like the contempt that they were showing for the likes of Truss and Sunak at the end. Already. After their honeymoon period, after the good bit.
I mean, literally, people keep posting clips of Keir Starmer at Prime Minister's questions. Go, he really destroyed Kenny Badenoch there. It's literally all he does is not answer the question and just responds with fix the foundations, difficult decisions, £22 billion black hole. When you were in government, you crashed the economy. And I'm just like, I'll take no lessons from you. And I'm like, you're not supposed to just fucking grandstand. It's questions. You're supposed to answer the fucking question.
Also, like, when people say he does really well at Prime Minister's questions, of all of the things that a Prime Minister needs to be good at in order to win elections, being good at Prime Minister's questions is the least important.
Yeah.
If you were good at everything else but an absolute gibbering wreck at Prime Minister's questions, you would win in a landslide. Because no one fucking watches, no one cares. I watch, we watch, because we're nerds. Dweebs. But the rest of the country doesn't give a shit.
No, so yeah, drink 1 sec.
Fair enough.
I'm still not sure what your actual plan is to
No one
tackle,
is. No one knows.
Illegal crossings, which are up since you've become Prime Minister. The asylum bill, which is up since you became Prime Minister. And Brian Bell, chair of the Migration Advisory Committee, said at the weekend that we should expect a norm of net migration of around 350,000 per year. Do you agree with that?
Well, the only way to tackle illegal migration is to take down the gangs that are running it. They're making a...
Jesus Christ. It's insufferable. I can literally... I know his answer. Before he opens his fucking stupid mouth, I know what he's going to say.
But he's not mentioned the important part of his grand plan for the Border Security Command, which is to get the dogs to smell dinghy rubber.
Brilliant. So Dad's army with some specially trained poodles are going to take down the fucking immigration gangs. Amazing.
I can't mention it without fucking bursting into hysterics. It's just too funny to think of like a dog on like a hang glider flying over the fucking channel going, I've seen one. What's that, lassie? I've spotted some brown people.
A huge amount of money.
Huge amount of money.
In order to put people on boats across the channel. And we have to take them down. That's why we've set up the border security.
Hey.
That's why we've striking agreements with other countries. That's why I'm investing a lot of my time face to face with leaders to make sure that that law enforcement is coordinated and we have collaboration. I've done this before. I was chief prosecutor for 5 years.
You should have mentioned it, mate. He's never mentioned this before. Did you know this?
Bingo.
We had then, in my time, to deal with terrorist gangs who were also operating across borders. We had to deal with gangs.
Well, thankfully,
that were
that's all
moving
over.
drugs and guns across borders.
And he was so effective that drugs don't exist anymore. Thanks, Keith.
I've never accepted, and I won't accept, and I've said this before and I'll say it every day, I've never accepted that apparently we can deal with terrorist gangs, apparently we can deal with gangs that are running guns and drugs, but apparently we can't deal with those people who are running...
What the fuck are you talking about? Heroin's at like an all-time low. It's the only thing that isn't inflated to fuck. Heroin's so cheap you can fucking feed it to your kids because you can't afford food. What are you we deal with drugs all the time. What are you talking about? The two booming industries in Britain are cholera and crack. Shut the fuck up. We deal with this shit, do we, bollocks?
War on drugs, completed it, mate.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
Clocked
serious
it, bruv.
answer to this problem. Not a gimmick that made absolutely no difference and cost a fortune. And so that's how we have to take down the gangs that are running the trade in the first place. On the asylum costs, of course we've got to bring them down. We've got to process the claims. Because the last government didn't stop the boats and didn't process the claims. They've got record numbers of people who are stuck in the middle, having to be accommodated at the taxpayer's expense. That was a ridiculous way to run the country. We're going to change that. Thank you very much.
What are you going to do?
Anna from the FT?
Ghostbusters! Oh no, it's a different thing.
Hi, Anna.
Yeah, no, he's not going to do anything. What he's going to do is vibes.
The concept of a plan. There you go.
Ross from the Financial Times. When you select six targets like this, there's obviously going to be an opportunity cost for other policy areas that aren't being targeted. None of the six milestones that you've selected here seem like levers that will actually drive growth. There's nothing on skills, on training, on transport, on driving investment into the UK. Has the government given up on prioritising economic growth? And just a second part of that, you also previously said you'd have the highest growth in the G7 by the end of this Parliament. Is that still the ambition?
Firstly, let me push back on the suggestion that none of these have got anything to do with growth. They've all got everything to do about growth.
Oh, his hand's gone a bit German. Oh no.
If you can't get an operation and you can't
Italian.
get back to work, it has
You can't
a massive
decide.
impact on growth. Housing has a massive impact on growth. It's one of the biggest factors in determining growth, the house building projects across the country. Not just the projects themselves, but also the way in which it allows people to live where they need to live for the jobs that they're going to have. So these are all deliberately there, laddering up.
What jobs? What fucking Deliveroo? What are you talking about?
To growth, which is the #1 mission of this government. So
yeah, you can hit the grow economy button. We know. Thank you to Fogel with 5 gifted subbies. We're on a hype train, everyone. If you want to get me to the next level of the hype train, I will finger Henry VIII, because like he deserves it. To be honest,
I can't bother doing a full shill, but please give money, please. I would like money. If you can give it to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, true. And well done, Fogel, for becoming an ISO certified trainer in adult education. I assume that's a sex thing. I don't know, but yeah, okay. I'm not sure we should encourage Austrians to educate people. That seems like a strategy for failure. You know. Anyway, thank you.
Each in their own way contributes to that. Clean power is another example.
95% clean power.
What's the thing that's really caused you the most problem over the last 3 years? Almost all of them will say very high energy bills. And so they are all there. They actually all ladder up to growth. On your second challenge that on the high sustainable growth,
who cares
that's what I'm doubling down on today. But what we're putting in place is a milestone so people can sense, can know and measure and hold us to account as to how we're doing on that. Because growth is fundamentally important. It remains the mission. We double down on it. But growth in the abstract doesn't feel the same or doesn't mean the same thing as people feeling they're better off. And therefore, I want to make sure that people understand what...
He's doing the Italian thing. I feel like we need to make that a meme.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he's Corbyn's Wario. Clearly.
We mean when we say the highest sustainable growth in the G7. We mean you're going to feel better off. And so it's a milestone towards that mission which remains in place. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, it's a milestone towards a mission.
I'm Henry VIII.
It is a fucking mission.
Henry the VIII. I am.
Well,
Kitty Bonk.
I mean, thank you for the Herman's Hermits rendition there, Wayward Historian. Thank you for the gifted subby and the Suzzle Snake, and thank you for bits. Oh God, wait, do we know where Henry VIII is buried? Because I've got to go and dig him up. So, well, I mean, I suppose I could dig down and just finger him in situ, but what's the fun in that?
Thank you, Prime Minister. Ben Riley-Smith from The Telegraph. Can I go back to that clean...
Ben Riley-Smith. Okay.
...energy pledge? You seem to be suggesting nothing's changed, but I've got your manifesto here. It says zero carbon electricity. That's 100% clean. Today you're saying 95% clean. So are you really...
Oh, he's literally having to do some numbers are bigger than other numbers. Jesus Christ. This man runs the economy. Oh.
Whoa. To be fair, he's got someone helping running the economy. Someone who used to do complaints management at H-Bus.
Yeah. Or did she? Who knows? Maybe the fucking right. CV might change again. Who knows? Thank you, everyone, for the hype train. I'm going to go finger me a former king. Let's go.
Arguing that voters, when they read zero carbon, should have read 5% carbon.
Well, the mission hasn't changed from the day I launched it nearly 2 years ago in terms of where we need to get to on clean energy.
Oh, he's buried in Windsor Castle. I haven't broken into Windsor Castle since I fingered Philip. Yeah. Nostalgic.
energy by 2030. It's exactly the same as it.
For any law enforcement watching, I have never broken into any royal residences. Please leave me alone.
Also, thank you, Popey, for the 30 gifted. That's incredibly generous of you.
Nice.
Very, very much appreciated.
Yeah, he's buried at St George's Chapel in Windsor. Well, luckily there isn't much security there, so I'll be all right.
A mix, but
Stop it. Get some help.
That, and we've not changed it today. Thank you. Harry from The Sun.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Harry Cole from The Sun.
Ooh, favourite paper.
When Rishi Sunak unveiled his 5 pledges, you mentioned them earlier, you accused him, and I quote, of failing to tackle the big pressures the country face by picking easy targets, achievable goals. But haven't you just done exactly the same thing? This is low-hanging fruit, isn't it? There's no migration, no living standards, totally woolly targets on NHS reform. And to quote you again, where's the thud on Whitehall's desk about the 11 million working-age people who are not in work? How can that not be a mission? And while I've got you, what's your response to the poll this morning that says half of voters, including lots of people who voted for you in July, think you're doing a bad job?
Well, look, Harry, on the ambition here, 1.5 million homes is to do, if we build that, is to do something that hasn't been done for decades. That's really bold. It's not lacking ambition. That's not easy. It won't happen, by the way.
I see. Damn you, chat. Now you've mentioned the Italian hand thing. That's all I can see. Is him just going, hey, me build a house. You know what I mean? That's all that's happening now. You've made me be racist.
Also, like, as Ben points out, chat, like, one of the questions he asked there, well, there's nothing on living standards in your milestones. The first milestone was about living standards. The problem is it was wishy-washy, right?
Yeah, it's all, piss water. Yeah.
If we don't make the change that we've spelt out, it will not happen. That's what I spelt out directly in my speech. That's how hard it is. Waiting list down to target by the end of this Parliament when there's 7 million. That's never been done before. That's hardly unambitious. That's hardly the warm bath that Rishi Sunak got into. Clean power by 2030, I can tell you, Harry.
What the fuck is that phrase? The warm bath that Rishi Sunak got into? Is that... I've never heard that as an analogy before.
Maybe it's a phrase. I have no idea. Thank you, Journey and Jordan, for the 5 gifted.
No, I'm not having that. That's just fucking weird. You're just weird, bro.
2 years ago, the first response of almost everybody...
Yeah, heated swimming pool, yeah.
You're never going to do it. They didn't say, oh, that's a breeze. I don't accept that they are not ambitious. I accept they're actually really risky for us to put them up there, because that is now the measurable that we've chosen to put before the public. And look, Harry, on polls or anything else, I know what I was elected to do, which was to change the country for millions of people who desperately need change. I knew we had to do the hard yards early on, take the tough decisions early on. Anybody who's ever run a business or an organisation knows if you're going to change things, you don't identify a tough decision and say, I'll do it in a couple of years' time. You do it straight away. I'll be measured when we get to the next election by whether I've delivered on what I'm saying I'll do for the British public, and that is...
But you're not really saying you're going to do anything. You can judge me on the nothing that I've promised.
But the foundations would have been fixed, Kevin.
With the milestones that have been super turbocharged for a mission to plan the change.
Pledge.
Yes.
The plan that we've set out today, the measurables that we have
measurables
to put out there to be measured against.
Oh.
I've chosen them because I'm convinced they're the change that the country needs and people need to feel. So thank you, Harry. Aubrey at the Times.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Aubrey Alagrassi from The Times. You talk about the need to be honest about trade-off. Isn't it the case that by focusing the government quite narrowly on these targets, you will neglect and deprioritise other things? That could include accident and emergency, GP appointments, immigration, and violence against women and girls. So can you be honest about the trade-offs that you're making here? And to follow up on the question about the Clean Energy Pledge, you say that it's exactly what was in the manifesto. But we've reread it, the 90% figure doesn't appear there. So can you explain to people why it can't be 100% by 2030?
Yeah, look, in terms of the trade-offs, I'd say 2 things. Firstly, I think everybody would accept that a government needs priorities. And the reason a government needs
Oh,
priorities is
God.
without
I
priorities...
can't take 5 years of this. I can't take 5 years of this wanker going, a government needs to have priorities and a plan and a concept of the milestone. I can't do it. I'm going to fucking explode. He's not saying anything. Don't just say we need to have a plan. Go have a fucking plan. You have had years to do this. You're fucking shit. Fuck off into the trash can. It's where you belong, mate. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's like primal scream. I just have to let it out, otherwise it'll fucking kill me. Oh, apologies.
I mean, he probably won't. I mean, to be fair to the people in chat, he probably won't last 5 years.
Almost certainly. Thank you, Dick Penderin, for resubscribing. Yeah, I can only apologise. Yeah, I lost my cool for a second. Fucking hell. Thankfully, he's silent though, so that's okay.
And you don't have the focus that you need. So we have to have priorities.
Yeah, you have to have priorities.
It is inevitable that as soon as you put priorities up there, somebody will say, "Oh, but why didn't you include this? Why didn't you include that?" And you end up...
Yes, because you're the government. Yeah, you have to have a plan for everything. You can't just half-arse 3 areas and leave it there. You have to cover all of the base. That's why we don't have like 2 ministers. We have lots of different departments to cover all of the things. Sorry for this advanced civics lesson, Keith. But yeah, you need to actually have a plan for all of the things. You fucking charlatan.
Up back where you started, which is without priorities at all. So you have to have priorities to drive delivery. Every business knows that. Every organisation knows that. Anyone who's ever done anything in their lives knows that you need to have priorities if you're going to get things done. If you just have a generalist scattergun approach, it's the surest way of ensuring that you're not actually going to deliver anything. I do not accept...
Thank you for the super chat, Shami Sengupta. Kevin Helena, do you think Neo-Labour will last the full 5-year term?
Well, yeah, I think they'll last the 5-year term. I think they definitely will. They've got a giant majority. Something ridiculous would have to happen for them to not last the whole term. The question is whether Keith himself doesn't get ousted, which of course he will do because they want to replace him with someone from the inner ring.
Well, not just that, but like in the same way that Biden had to get old Yellard taken out the back and just dealt with because like he was definitely going to fuck them. Like he was definitely going to lose really, really badly. I suspect that the power-obsessed freaks of, you know, the Starmer Politburo, or more accurately, the Labour Together Politburo will, let's say, force him aside in favour of whoever. Probably Streeting, but given that Streeting's majority is so paper thin, they might want to move him to a different seat. That would be very embarrassing if he lost.
I think it might be Bridget Phillipson. I think they're setting Bridget Phillipson up to be a new big player. I don't think they'll give it to Reeves because she's been very front and centre, and people don't seem to like her. She got rid of approval.
Yeah.
I think Bridget Phillipson, she's the ideal candidate. She's been in Labour Together from the start. She's been MP since 2010, so she's got a long time in politics under her belt. She's from the north, and that gets them their regional points. And she's a woman, so it gets them their diversity points.
True.
So I think that I have my eye on Bridget Phillipson.
Yeah, that's true. He'll get promoted to the head of United Healthcare. True.
I mean, I hope he doesn't for his own sake.
No comment.
In terms of service.
Yes.
Priorities up there that we're giving permission on everything else to fail. I don't accept that. I won't accept that. That is not acceptable, and it's not the way we'll...
What he will accept is free gifts to the Arsenal, if anyone's got a ticket for the weekend.
Or £4 million from Quadrature.
Yeah. Also, his wife's dress is looking a bit shabby, so if anyone wants to contribute, I've got an Amazon wish list.
But this is setting out measurables for people so that they can see how we're making progress on our missions. And hold us to account for those missions, and to drive delivery and drive the change that we need in order to do so. In relation to the Clean Power mission, as I say, we launched this 2 years ago. The ambition, the nature, what we've said about it has been completely consistent for 2 years. As I say, the reaction at the time is it's not possible, something I didn't accept then and I don't accept now. I've got Sophie from the Daily Mirror.
Sophie Huskisson from the Daily Mirror. Prime Minister, Scotland has vowed to axe the two-child benefit limit. Will you now reconsider your decision not to scrap it?
Oh, it's Quango o'clock. Let's go.
Hit your milestones to give children the best start in life and to improve living standards.
Well, Sophie, what I can say is I'm absolutely committed to driving down and dealing with child poverty. That's what the last Labour government did to huge effect. It's why we've set up the task force to deal with this. But I don't accept that this is just one thing that needs to happen. If you're really going to tackle child poverty, you've got to look at housing, you've got to look at health, you've got to look at education, you've got to look at so many aspects of a child's life.
No, Journeying Jordan, I don't think you'll see Ashworth as Prime Minister, at least in part because if he's only going to appear on TV once a week at Prime Minister's Questions, that's going to be significantly less than he usually does.
That's true.
And I don't think he's going to be okay with that. Also, he'll have to spend less time whinging about how he lost.
In order to take it seriously and to bring it down. So I know it's easy to think there's one silver bullet, and if you just do that one thing.
If there is,
no one's saying
if there is one bullet left, Keith, I have a thought for you.
But like, no one is saying that it's just this one solution that's going to be a panacea that will solve child poverty. No one is saying this. What we are saying is that loads of children are obviously in poverty because of this policy who don't need to be, and you could reverse it and take them out of poverty instantly, and you don't do that because why?
Well, he needs to ask the question. The Quango needs to tell him, does feeding children make them less hungry? We need to know. Who knows? It could be anything.
Important science experiment.
Exactly. He's a scientist, goddammit.
That will change everything. I don't accept that, but we've got a strategy that we're working on to ensure that we do what the last Labour government did, which is to drive down child poverty. Thank you very much. I've got Harriet from the...
And start massive illegal wars? Yeah?
I mean, they didn't have a two-child benefit cap, to be fair, for Tony Blair, right? Like...
Yeah, exactly. You should follow in his footsteps, at least in that one area.
Daily Mail.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Harriet Line, Daily Mail.
His other
Since coming
favourite
into
paper.
office, you've launched 67 reviews, consultations and task forces, with even more in the pipeline. Critics say you're more interested in talking shops than tough decisions. Don't these reviews show that you simply didn't have a plan for what to do when you got into government?
No.
Geez, I mean, firstly, could you be more salty, mate? And secondly, you're such a wanker, you've made me agree with a Daily Mail hack.
Same.
Like, fuck you, mate.
If you look at what we've done, there's a whole list of things that we've done already in government. I listed some of them in my conference speech in September. I haven't got time to repeat that speech here, but there were a long list of things that we've already delivered on, setting up Great British Energy, making sure that we're doing the already starting on the planning reform that we need, already using the money we've got to bring down the waiting lists in our hospitals. There's the Border Security Command already set up. So the delivery, there's lots and lots of stuff that's being delivered. But of course we've got to review things when we get into government. The first thing we had to do was review the books. I'm glad we did, or I didn't like what we found.
67? Mate, no. Having the odd review or like looking into certain things and like, okay, fine. 67. Is there anything you haven't set up a Quango for? Like, it would genuinely, I think, be quicker to cover the areas of government that they haven't yet set a Quango up for.
I tell you what, I've got this really great idea for a new Quango, right? And what it does is it looks over all policy. It looks over all policy in the round and then coordinates them together. And you could choose who was in this Quango by some kind of like democratic method. I don't know, maybe divide up your country into little areas, and then you can elect a person to represent that area within the big Quango. And then once you've got all of those, let's say 650 of them, once you've got all those
a rule by the Demos sort of thing.
Exactly. You know, the Vox Populi, Vox Dei, as we know, right? And they can all go into a single room potentially, like a big room,
Right.
and then they can all decide as a quango together what the policy should be.
But do we have such a room? Do we have that kind of facility available to us?
Indeed, unfortunately, there is nowhere centrally to this country that can house 650 people at the same time. So apart from like an HMO in fucking, you know.
You could hire out a stadium, like a cricket stadium or something. Or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that would only work off season, you know? Ooh. Anyway, it's a good idea. I don't think it'll work. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And they've got loads on their plate. Purging the left, getting to government, throwing policies in the bin, train dogs to smell for dinghy rubber, set up a million advisory boards and royal commissions, and freeze the granny. It's a big list of things they've got to do.
See, no, but
it's a
when
really
you say
big itinerary.
You can't say dinghy without me. They're also thinking of Rubber Dinghy Rapids.
Rubber
So
Dinghy
now I've
Rapids
just got a dog on Rubber Dinghy Rapids with a terrorist, and it doesn't make any sense. And yet, it's the funniest image I could ever have imagined. It's beautiful.
We reviewed the books and found there was a £22 billion.
Hey, there we go.
Bingo!
Because we hadn't done that review, we wouldn't have been able to pass the budget, which is now stabilising the economy. We reviewed
It's
how
true.
many people had in our
If we
prisons.
didn't know what the
Many
government's
more than we need.
finances were, we couldn't pass a budget. Well done. You have
Honestly,
discovered time.
Honestly, he's getting the hang of this government thing. Yeah.
I can do government good, me.
True.
Needed bursting point to a point where, when I was trying to deal with the disorders, we were really struggling with whether we had enough prison places. That's unforgivable. I don't care which political party anyone supports. That is totally unforgivable. We're reviewing what's going on in immigration because the numbers that came out last week were staggering. Of course, we're going to review how we're going to deal with that because everywhere you look, the failure of the last government was much more profound and deep than even everybody thought it was on the 4th of July. So, like any business or organisation,
Our Independence Day.
You've got to understand what you're dealing with once you're in a position to deal with it. And that's why we are looking across the board, looking at what we've got to do, and already getting on with the change that we need. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Oh, well, thank fuck for
Thanks for being
that.
here.
Oh my god, and good thing it's question time's just started.
Yeah, that was fucking awful. Honestly, people might think that was like an act, but I genuinely lost my cool for a second with him. I can't fucking deal with this man. He's just awful.
He is awful.
And I
He is
expect a
awful.
Tory to be awful. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, the Labour leader shouldn't be this shit. Also, how happy is that woman in the red top? That is the smiliest person that's ever been on this fucking show.
She's very happy to see Nigel Farage.
Oh, God, no, she's not one of them, is she? And by which...
I don't know.
Well, we'll see, She is white, so, you know. Therefore evil.
Sure, that's how critical race theory works.
Literally.
Oh, a minute. So, 1 second. YouTube viewers.
Oh shit! Yeah. No, I forgot about that.
I cannot broadcast question time on YouTube for copyright cuck reasons.
Mm.
So I'm putting the link to my Twitch channel in my YouTube stream now.
I should.
If you can
do that
click
too.
the link, please, and then come over to my stream before we start the program.
Yes, I'm going to do that now myself because I totally forgot. And there's my Twitch in the chat. Everyone pop along and say hello. And then nothing. Anyway, I'm going to leave you in 3, 2, 1. Bye bye.